OMG, Jacob Fatu just shocked the WWE Universe by joining forces with Roman Reigns, and together, they're building a new OG Bloodline to take down Solo Sikoa. For weeks, Jacob Fatu was alone, attacked, betrayed, left out of a family he helped make legendary. While Solo Sikoa rose in power, fueled by ego, Jacob waited and healed. But he wasn't done. He was building something stronger. And then it happened. On SmackDown, Roman Reigns returned. The music hit, the crowd exploded, and standing beside him, Jacob Fatu. No words, just unity. The message was clear. We're taking it back. Not for revenge. For legacy. For respect.
For the real bloodline.
And just before the screen cut to black, Roman looked into the camera and said, "It's time to remind them who we are. Subscribe now, because the kings have returned, and the throne isn't big enough for everyone." SmackDown just gave us the most shocking moment of the year. Jacob Fatu has officially joined forces with Roman Reigns, and they're building a new OG bloodline. That's right. While Solo Sikoa thought he had the island to himself, Roman Reigns just reminded the world who the real tribal chief is, and Jacob Fatu. He's bringing the storm with him. This isn't just about payback. This is about restoring the soul of the dynasty. The ones who started the bloodline are taking it back from the inside, and they're not playing politics. They're playing war. So, what happens when legacy collides with rebellion? When the original kings return to crush the new regime? You're about to find out. Hit subscribe because this isn't a reunion. This is a takeover. The OG bloodline has just been reborn. The lights dimmed. The tension snapped like a live wire, and the crowd inside the arena held their breath. SmackDown had been full of chaos in recent weeks, betrayals, ambushes, broken trust. But no one expected what came next. Roman Reigns, missing for months, returned, not alone, not quiet, but with fire in his eyes and purpose in his stride. And by his side, Jacob Fatu, the man Solo Sikoa had exiled. The one everyone thought had been left behind. But he was never gone. He was waiting. And now, he was ready to burn everything down. Jacob Fatu had every reason to walk away. After Solo Sikoa ambushed him on live TV, after the family chose sides, and after the chaos of the bloodline civil war consumed everything, Jacob could have disappeared. But he didn't. Instead, he disappeared into the shadows, not to hide, but to sharpen his claws. For weeks, we saw cryptic messages on his social media. Broken glass. Storm clouds. A Samoan war cry with no explanation. Fans speculated, but they didn't understand. Fatu wasn't just waiting for a return. He was waiting for the right hand to pull him back into battle. That hand belonged to Roman Reigns. Backstage sources say Roman and Jacob met weeks ago, off-camera, off-grid. Two men with scars deeper than kayfabe. Two warriors betrayed not just by family, but by time. The bloodline they once bled for had turned into something else. Something Solo Sikoa manipulated. It was no longer about respect, honor, or legacy. It had become a dictatorship under Solo. And Roman?
He watched.
He watched the throne he built get tainted. But the silence was never surrender. It was strategy. So when Roman's music hit at the climax of Friday night's SmackDown, the arena erupted. But it wasn't just nostalgia. It was war drums. Roman didn't walk out in a suit. He didn't walk out with Paul Heyman. He walked out in fight gear. Hair tied, eyes cold. And flanking him, like a ghost from the past turned into a storm of vengeance, was Jacob Fatu. The new OG bloodline wasn't a reunion. It was a declaration of war. Solo Sikoa, watching from backstage, looked stunned. Maybe for the first time, the enforcer realized what was coming. He had built a faction of monsters, Hikuleo, JC Mateo, whoever else he could find hungry for power. But Roman wasn't about monsters. He was about kings. And Fatu? Fatu was the war dog you never see coming until your kingdom's already burning. Roman stepped into the ring. No pyro. No long promo. Just a stare into the hard camera. And then 4 words. We're taking it back. That was it. The crowd lost their minds. Commentators scrambled to make sense of it. Michael Cole shouted, "The tribal chief is back," but even he knew this wasn't the same Roman Reigns. This was Roman with something to prove. Meanwhile, Fatu never spoke. He didn't need to. His presence was enough. This was a man Solo tried to bury. And now he stood next to the Alpha, not as a backup, but as a partner. The OG Bloodline wasn't built on hierarchy, it was built on mutual destruction. And they weren't coming for revenge. They were coming to remind everyone that legacy doesn't die when you disappear, it reloads. Fans online exploded. Hashtags like hashtag OG Bloodline, hashtag Fatu returns, and hashtag Roman is back trended worldwide. TikToks showed fans crying in the arena. On Instagram, WWE teased a cryptic image, just the bloodline symbol, broken in two, but with the word reborn etched in red beneath it. Every fan knew what it meant. Roman wasn't here to reclaim the throne. He was here to destroy the imposters who sat on it. And Solo? He didn't back down. On the following SmackDown, he stormed the ring with Hikuleo and JC Mateo. He grabbed the mic and said, "You think this is your house? This is my island now. Come and take it." But there was something in his voice, rage, sure, but fear too. Because Solo had ruled through brute force. But Roman ruled with presence. And Jacob? Jacob was a hurricane with fists. The battle lines had been drawn. The OG Bloodline versus the new Bloodline. Respect versus ego. Loyalty versus control. Backstage segment showed Jacob and Roman sitting together, not talking, just sharpening their gear. Silent warriors, bonded not by recent memory, but by blood, by war, by betrayal. This wasn't about taking back gold. This was about burning down the fake dynasty Solo tried to build in their absence. Roman looked over at Jacob and finally broke the silence. "They forgot what we are." Jacob nodded. "Let's remind them." Week after week, the feud escalated. Roman and Jacob didn't attack from the front. They attacked from the shadows. One week, JC Mateo found his locker room destroyed. The next, Hikuleo was ambushed in the parking lot. The message was always the same. You don't get to keep the throne if the real kings return. And then came the night WWE fans will never forget. Roman and Jacob stood face to face with Solo, Hikuleo, and JC in the middle of the ring. No words. Just stare-downs that sent chills through the audience. Roman cracked his neck and whispered, "You built this empire on our graves. Now it's time to bury yours." Solo smirked. "You're too late, Chief. This island's got new gods now." That was all Roman needed to hear. Chaos erupted. Fists flew. The ring couldn't contain them. The fight spilled into the crowd.
Chairs.
Announcer tables. Even security couldn't stop it. It was tribal warfare live on TV. And when the dust settled, Roman stood tall with blood on his face, not from injury, but from war. Jacob stood behind him, eyes wide, heart pounding, breathing like a caged animal finally set free. Roman